idea is, with first, we gotta talk about the broken promise, with that involving who else but the Native Americans. Because in the 1850s, as they were being pushed off of their land, Pacific Northwest tribes signed treaties with the government promising that their access to salmon and their way of life would be preserved. But within just 2 decades, they saw commercial fishing depleting wild salmon to unsustainable levels. So the government's fish commissioner proposed hatcheries as a solution, telling the tribes that artificial production would maintain the salmon production indefinitely and even increase it. But by the 1920s, government research found no evidence to suggest hatcheries had effectively conserved salmon. And then the salmon population suffered a second hard blow from the construction of dams, with the government building 18 dams on the Columbia and Snake Rivers by 1975. And in doing so, pushing dozens of wild salmon populations up to or past the point of extinction. And all this especially impacted indigenous tribes who relied on Salmon River, where the previously free-flowing water was cut off by the dams. So like a bunch of fucking idiots, the government tried to solve the problem the same way it did decades earlier, by building more hatcheries. Once again, that failed, with the number of returning adult fish continuing to decline. But also, the hatcheries weren't just ineffective, right? In some ways, they were arguably harmful, because in those artificial environments, the salmon's genetic diversity declined, and they began developing traits that made it harder for them to survive in the wild. Right by now, if the hatchery spawns a million salmon and tosses them downriver, only a few thousand might survive long enough to make it back as adults. Because while roughly 3 times as many young salmon now head to the ocean each year as before any dams were built, the return rate is less than 1/5 than what it was decades ago. So as a result, the network of hatcheries responsible for 80% of the salmon in the Columbia River is at risk of collapse, unable to keep producing fish at meaningful levels. I mean, they literally do not have enough fish returning from the ocean to keep breeding more and tossing them back out like they've done over and over for generations. So in the 1990s, scientists concluded that hatchery fish were actually harming wild salmon by competing for food and spreading weaker genes. But rather than modifying facilities to fix these issues, the government just labeled wild salmon endangered and regulated hatcheries. So to this day, hatcheries face limits on which fish they can breed, how many wild fish they can capture, and how many fish they can release. So that puts even more strain on the perfect remedy for the plight suffered by indigenous fishers. But instead of crisscrossing these hatcheries with bureaucratic red tape and pitting indigenous tribes against environmentalists, some experts say that the government should just invest money to build new hatcheries and renovate old ones so that the fish's odds of survival go up. They can do this by, among other things, painting concrete tanks to manage marine beds, filling them with woody debris found in streams, and using underwater feeding tubes so fish don't get used to being fed at the surface of the food. They could also breed captured wild fish instead of hatchery stock and use earthen ponds to acclimate fish to the wild before releasing them. And also, genetics and learned behaviors are only one small part of the story. Another leading reason is that the journey up and down the river has become far more treacherous over the last century. That's because of pollution, rising temperatures, invasive predators, but also one big glaring obstacle blocking the way: dams. Right, alongside producing hydroelectric power, dams are the only thing keeping whole communities like downtown Portland from going underwater for parts of the year. But they also happen to block fish from swimming away to ocean deep and get beaten around by the whirring turbines. So to fix that, dam walls are designed with gates that young salmon can swim through to get downstream, but they're usually too deep underwater for the little fish to actually find because they tend to stay near the surface. And then those that do dive deep enough can get the bends and die. But the big thing here is that there is a much simpler and more effective solution. Drain the reservoir behind the dam to low enough levels, open the gates, and let the salmon ride the currents of the wild river. It costs next to nothing to keep the dams available for flood control and has been shown to work in the past. Right, look at it. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers began draining the reservoir at Oregon's Fall Creek Dam for a short period in November or December, and it was a wild success, with the river seeing a roughly 10 times increase in the number of adult salmon that returned from their migration. And all the sediment, wood, sand, and gravel that got clogged up behind the dam now flowed freely downriver, which notably provided a natural source of nutrients to the entire food web downstream from the reservoir, including plankton, aquatic plants, insects, fish, and mammals. So in this spectacular display of sensible policymaking, humans replicated the model of other dams that saved all. Just kidding. 9 times out of 10, this show is about problems, not problems that have been solved yet. Instead, the Army Corps of Engineers dragged its feet for 2 decades, according to a federal judge, and is now proposing a different solution. Why not build a huge floating vacuum the size of a football field with enough pumps to suck up a small lake and flush all the fish into enormous storage tanks, load them on trucks, drive them downstream, and then dump them back into the water. Something that would reportedly cost a combined $622 million to put one of these things at each of the 2 dams that threaten salmon the most. Plus another $432 million for a huge water cooling device at one of the dams. Now at this point, if you're like, that sounds awfully complicated and expensive, why not just drain the river? Well, the Army Corps of Engineers has a few arguments for you. First, they believe that the Fall Creek's openings are more fish-friendly than those at other dams, and officials are worried that draining many dams all at once might leave too little stream flow for fish. And second, they argue that the reservoir drawdowns would hurt residents who rely on hydropower, businesses that do recreational boating, and farmers who need irrigation. But a huge thing there is that an investigation by ProPublica found that all of these concerns are highly exaggerated. Right, first of all, farmers near the river basin don't need irrigation from the dams nearly as much as those in other parts of the state, with 50 inches of rainfall drenching the Willamette Valley every year, so draining reservoirs each fall would have a marginal impact on water supplies downstream, according to the Corps' own analysis. And in fact, we've already seen that play out with the Oregon Water Resources Department saying recent court-ordered drawdowns have not undermined anyone's ability to irrigate. And as for the recreation economy, the Corps itself estimates that the kind of limited drawdowns it imposes will affect boat owners only at the tail end of the boating season. reducing visits by about 7% and spending by $1.3 million. And as for the consumers of hydropower, it turns out that the dams actually cost more than they're worth. But the Corps estimates that the cost of hydropower for the next 3 years will outstrip revenues from electricity customers by more than $700 million. The only peer-reviewed cost-benefit analysis of these dams, which was published in 2021, found that the collective environmental alarms, upkeep costs, and risks of collapse at the dams outweigh the economic benefits, which is why even the federal government's hydropower agency for this region, who only funds half the cost of operating the Willamette Dam, said last year that the streams feeding the valley are wildly inefficient at producing electricity compared with dams on larger rivers, costing up to 5 times as much to light a home. Also, on top of all that, despite the Corps' concerns about draining too many reservoirs at once, a federal judge ruled in 2021 that the weight of the evidence was against them, saying drawdowns were necessary and the most effective means of protecting fish, and then ordering the Corps to partially drain 3 dams. And finally, they're setting a 2024 deadline for the Corps to create a new long-term plan to save salmon, which he expected to go even further than his drawdown order. But then when the Corps produced this plan last year, that's when it proposed the giant floating fish vacuums instead. And that idea has baffled many experts because it wasn't new. Similar projects have been tried on a smaller scale in the past, and they typically fail to capture a meaningful amount of fish. Plus, when removing young salmon from the river, it stresses them out, increasing the risk of dying before they find their way home to spawn as adults. Which is why a comprehensive review in 2017 concluded that those types of fish collectors will only prolong their decline to extinction. But despite all of this information and pushback, even with multiple calls from Congress to study shutting down hydropower, the Corps has dug in, even trying to influence public opinion, with one Corps planner suggesting in an email obtained by ProPublica that the agency produce a series of videos and perhaps a podcast showing that hydropower has many benefits, and saying that these might generate public comments in support of hydropower that the Corps could forward to Congress. And at this point, you might be wondering, why are they so insistent to keep the dams running? Well, one very mind-numbing answer comes from former Corps employees and scientists who work closely with the agency, with them telling ProPublica officials are afraid of change because drawing down reservoirs and eliminating hydropower, it would call into question the agency's usefulness in the Willamette Valley. And Judith Marshall, who spent 6 years as an environmental compliance manager for the Corps, explained they don't like to be seen as an agency that can't execute. They're some of the smartest people I've ever encountered, but they're so wound up in their models and what they're doing, like they can't see the forest through the trees. Now, fortunately, here we are seeing a push from other parts of the executive branch in the other direction, with the Biden administration agreeing in September to spend more than $200 million to fully fund Native tribes' plans to reintroduce.
Tell me why I should play Total WoW.
Thank you, Philip DeFranco, for the excellent content from a stream. I'd like to sub to your channel. Thank you, Venture Game Hotspot. I'd like to sub to your channel. Look, he's getting more likes on his 6,000 than this guy's getting on his 6 million. It's kind of crazy.
Right now, at the end of 2022.
Hey, sure, man. So what Turtle WoW does and what the team's striving for at the moment is we're trying to get that vanilla plus kind of feel. So a lot of our game pillars and our game design in the team is sort of revolved around what would Blizzard have done after World of Warcraft or after vanilla instead of doing the Burning Crusade route. So if you haven't been around in, say, like 6 months, we're going to be having a patch dropping in the fairly short future here. So things like we added Hateforge Quarry in the last patch. That's a new like level 50 dungeon. And in the little bit future here, our focus is going to be shifting to try to like appease people that have actually played and gotten to max level. So I know in our next patch we are going to be looking at things like raids. So if you do end up coming back, you know, that's something you can look forward to. And you know, we do try to emphasize things on exploration. So we did announce we are coming out with Telebeam. So new locations to level, new things to see. We're always trying to capture that feeling of exploration. So, you know, if you're coming back to WoW and you're like, oh man, I remember those feels when I was a kid, when I got to see a new zone and I got to do new quests and I love that. Well, that's a reason you can come to Turtle WoW, because we really try to focus on that sort of feel.
Shane, why don't you do us a favor and tell us exactly what Turtle WoW brings to the table? Talk to me like I'm someone who never played the game before.
We are a vanilla plus private server, so what we're doing is we are trying to essentially do what Blizzard could have or would have done in like that 2004 to 2006 time span. So we're looking at a lot of things that weren't finished, so stuff like Grim Batol or like Aldum, you know, those like iconic locations on the map that players look at are like, oh, what could have happened here? Stuff like that's always on the radar for us. So if you haven't played Turtle WoW, I would honestly say if you like vanilla private servers, a lot of the stuff we do is really.
What happened there? Oh no, Amiro died. Amiro died again. Oh no.
The asteroid is depleted.
This is a good old. These places, there's another town of it. Trying to skip. Like. Even food.
It looks good.
Well,
Soul Ash 2, I heard about this.
it'd be real nice if I could have a well so I could do a little drinking. I'm getting kind of thirsty. Your blood just doesn't do it for me. Bird bones.
This looks hard. Like, genuinely
Some
hard.
more berries.
But it looks good. Soul Ash
Yeah,
2.
right.
I see you. It looks good. Thank you for the extra content for my stream, Mr. Nucrium. I'd like to sub to your channel.
Greetings, Pantheon fans. Well. The update is finally here. I have had people inside the Pantheon community who responded to my last video telling me, keep an eye on this, keep an eye on this. And then a few days ago, a few people commented, this guy called it. And I was like, really? Did I? Okay, well, what's going on? Oh boy, did I call it. So, to recap my last video, in the last video, which I'll link below, I went through the history of Pantheon's 10-year-long development and just tried to provide as much factual information as I could about it. And then at the end of the video, I said that I found some of their practices, such as asking for huge $1,000 pledges on a 10-year game, doing things by trying to continue the community by constantly posting new concept art for a 10-year-old development cycle. I just found that cringe and
Disingenuous
weird and
and-
sort of sus. The whole thing just is starting to feel like a cult. That's the way I put it. And boy, if this is a cult, then we've got to the Jonestown moment, ladies and gentlemen. So, two huge things have happened to Pantheon since I made my last video. The first of these is that they've completely revamped the art style to no longer look like the sort of EverQuest and boomer art that people like me like. And, I mean, let's point out the obvious craziness of changing the art style of a game that is 10 years into its development cycle. So let's talk about that one aspect of the crazy. So that's one aspect of the crazy. Right? Is that they changed the art style of a 10-year-old game in development that's still in pre-alpha, and the new art style just makes.
Of course they did.
Very more like League of Legends or very Fortnite. Maybe I'll put some screenshots up on that when I edit this video. But it's a huge change, and it immediately made me suspend. But why are they changing the art style? And so they announced that I think 2 months back now. And I've been thinking, why would they do that? And today we know why. I'm just gonna read this out because I know a lot of people actually don't like to read and they like to put like YouTube videos on as a podcast, and
they want me to read it for them. In fact, I mean, that's my job. I'm an audiobook narrator. People pay me to read things for them. Fine, let's get into it. Greetings, Pantheon fans. This month, we are looking at the 24/7 gameplay mode. Is it 247 gameplay mode? I think they want you to say 24/7 game mode, but they type 247 gameplay mode. And diving deeper to see what it is and what it means for Pantheon and its fans. We began about a 20.
Hey, I got good gloves. I got really good gloves. Yeah, I'm glad I did this. Look at that.
We need to run Pantheon in a persistent 24.
Oh, hells yeah. So, yeah, I got a good pair of gloves there. Really good. 2 agility, 1 stamina. Yup, I'll take it. Sweet. Just out of nowhere. I'm glad I did this. It really was worth it. I haven't pulled another dagger, too. A small hand blade. But the damage on it sucks. It's gonna disenchant. I feel like I could get 15 silver for this, though. Yeah, the vendor is 9 silver. I need enchant fodder, though. Maybe I'll get a large essence off it or something. You never know. Never know until you try. There's a pillager. He's a mage.
Aggro.
Nope. I want to go Sin. I always thought Sin was best. Yeah, all I'm going to do is buy through the dual wield spec. Repost would be nice too, but I mean, dual wield spec and I'm done in this chart. Yeah, I don't need backstab. I don't need gouge. Oh, I mean, gouge would be nice. Improve gouge, but at that point you might as well dedicate to the chart. I mean, I am going to dedicate to the chart. But I would like to buy to improve. No, I'm gonna go combat because it's all combat leveling anyways. And then, man, it would be nice to go hemo, but it's too far in the chart. But what we can buy is the rest of the stuff into subtlety, so I can live and I can move around and do technical stuff like move around stealth really well and all that. But that comes way later. I must put my points into combat first. Tempted to splash across all 3 charts, but you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, right after serrated blades, like, I mean, yeah, but like malice would be nice. I would like to put 5 points in malice, like, just because it's so good. The crit's so good. All passive. I'm looking for passive, except for, oh, thank you. Yes, we are good. That's the trader, but I'm looking for the messenger. Torosito. Very nice of him. That is helpful.
Aggro.
I want to move the nug bar. It seems like it's obtrusive. And yeah, and I am gonna move I'm gonna move the combo bar because it's in a bad place. Nug combo or whatever it is. Yeah, nug combo bar, unlock, and I want to take it. I want you to close, and then I want you to take this over here. Yeah, that's perfect across the two because it's kind of mine, it's kind of his. It's his problem and it's my problem. So yep, and then we say add-ons back to, oh no, I'm sorry, options back to nug combo bar. Let's go look at the scale again. Unlock, make this scale bigger, yeah, and then run it back left, yeah, like across and where it's not like in the way. Yep, and that's good. And then we go to options, add-ons, lock, right? I could show it always, but I mean, no, I like it. I like it going away. It's fun. Keep waiting for that messenger to pop, and now I need it, and it's like, man, fucking messenger won't pop. My damage went up a lot. Torosito.
Aggro.
My damage went up like another 2 agility out of nowhere on my gloves. definitely helped. One of the reasons I'm standing here doing this is at the end of it, I'm hoping to pull like 50 silver or something like that, and I'm gonna buy more agility for a belt, more agility for boots, all that stuff, right?
Warp drive active.
Yep. And we watch what's happening here so nobody dies, you know.
Aggro.
I need the messenger, damn it. That bird is good XP.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Need the messenger, damn it.
Aggro.
You know, there's a pond right there, and I never really noticed that before. There's right north over here is Stendel's Pond. You know, it never occurred to me, but I wish I could fish here and monitor for the messenger at the same time. Because this is going to take some time. I got him lucky earlier, but... I mean, yeah, I could fish there, but...
environment to collect the data and establish a continuous feedback cycle as part of our new continuous integration, continuous deployment model, CIDI. So I can only tell you they've hired the people that do copywriting for like industrial tech companies, because I also do voice acting for them, and this just is like there's just a way these things are written. This sentence doesn't even make any sense. But what? Yeah, you need to be running your MMO 24/7 to know the data about your MMO. It's the strangest doublespeak that I've ever heard. And also, they're whoever they hired to do the copywriting for this clearly has a background in back-end infrastructure for internet,
Aggro.
and probably like it doesn't make any sense. What is that? This is not the sort of thing you publish to your supporters.
I didn't know the mage was with him.
To
I could die here.
investors, which is something we'll get onto later. We'll get onto that. But this
It's okay.
is not the sort of thing
It was
you do in
expensive,
PR
but
community
that's
relations.
alright. I'm grinding.
It's
I
not
can
how you
replace
talk
it.
to your community. It doesn't make any sense. It's very weird.
All good, all good.
Unless they're doing it for legal reasons, which we'll get to later. Additionally, in such an environment, we can collect information on performance, player behavior, and identify areas that need attention. Well, yeah, but you can also do that by just releasing the game in whatever state it's in. To gather real information over a long period of time, we also know players consume content much faster than we can keep up with it. This is a basic truth for any game. It's not a basic truth for any game, but a particularly complex problem with an independently developed MMO game. Yeah, I mean, I have not consumed. I cannot keep up with the content that Jagex released for RuneScape ORS. I can't even keep up at all. I come back every other year and I'm still like overwhelmed. Thus, the 247 game mode was conceived. This is just so bizarrely written. It's so bizarrely written. I'm not going to go into it. It's very strange. The 247 is a way to play Pantheon with a significant twist. Players begin in Tazrin's gaze, grab tasks from one of 11 doctors to build faction, and then enter a time. That's bad grammar. To build faction, and to build a faction, and then enter a timed instance of Pantheon. Players can choose either PvE or PvP mission instance. Again, mission instances? Mission instance? I don't know. Once in Terminus, they can either focus on the task given or simply spend their time exploring, grouping, gathering for crafting, and otherwise playing Pantheon as they so choose. So basically, what they've done here is they've converted the game from an MMO into an RPG with multiplayer elements.
Wow.
That's what they've
Like
done.
the Shroud of the Avatar
That's
fucking
what they've done because they know
route.
that they cannot build an MMO. Because if they were to release now, the game is so lacking in content, so desperately lacking in content, that it would more or less be, maybe they've got one starting zone. But then here we get to if you're thinking that, well, surely building a whole another game mode, that's a lot of work, right? Couldn't you build 2 starting zones? That might satisfy the players. Let them get up to level 15. Leveling in games like EverQuest is slow. But they haven't done that, and we'll get to that later. But basically what this mode is going to be, it's going to be like a little mini game, right? Is instance and then fades out and cycles. The data collection here is absolutely mind-numbingly bollocks. It's absolutely.
Thank you for the excellent content for my stream, old man Banjo. I like your style. I like your stuff. Good shit. Good info. Thanks. I like this guy's style. Every once in a while, you hear somebody I do like, who I think is very like factual and.
If you wanted to collate the correct data for your MMO, you would just release the MMO in whatever state it is in.
Yeah.
Creating a different gameplay mode with different player
I tend to agree.
is going to give you completely different data than you would need for running an MMO. My partner described this as trying to collate data on one financial project and needing to do it by collecting old tea bags. Like it's that off kilter. It doesn't make any. Why would you do that? And so I've been hearing about 24/7 testing by people who comment on my last video. They tell me they said it's really bad. Keep in touch. So basically, there's not a lot more to say here. They created a little tiny mini game mode. But before we completely leave this page, I just want to talk about, because I did accuse the game of being difficult, and I want to, before we move on to discussing what I think is really happening behind the scenes, I want to go into a little bit of the why I'm not saying that to insult the people involved, except the people that are leading the cult. Because I was very clear in my last video on this that I did not want people to think that I was attacking the Pantheon developers. From this video, I do want you to think I'm attacking Pantheon's developers because they're exploiting their community that they've created a cult. And so, look here at this community feature, monthly recap, can do well, working toward the common good. This is cringe. That's very weird.
Yeah, they're starting to talk like thieves.
Somebody that reads a lot of copy,
like Francis Underwood. They talk like
this
thieves.
Is some strange copy.
It's weird.
People do not talk
Corrupt
like
and weird.
It's very, very weird.
Very weird. He's right about that.
Yeah,
it's Corpo speak, and it's disgusting. It's
like, here we have another one. Community spotlight. Finn, the dissenting voice. This is very, very weird. Like, listen to the opening here. The Pantheon Rise of the Fallen community is full of voices, both encouraging and criticizing. It is important to us that we hear our fans, particularly those who have supported us intensely as our members have. One such member occasionally takes the team to task on development decisions, but we are here for it. And it's just this really, really cringe interview with this poor guy through their forums that they pulled aside and were like, hey, you still really love Pantheon, don't you? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Good doggy. It's so. This is how cults work, right? They're like, it's good, and you're always allowed. It's so weird. All right. So now that we've established that it's very, very weird, I want to go in more detail into what I think is actually happening. But to do this, we really need to look at another MMORPG that was crowdfunded on Kickstarter back in 2016 at the tune of $1.8 million. Chronicles of Illyria proceeded through its years of development and then finally closed to the studio in 2020 after the owner of the studio took a lot of government money through the COVID times. But what immediately happened after Jeremy Walsh closed the studio was all the backers said, hey, we want some evidence of some kind that all of the $1 million you raised over those years, at totaling $8 million by the end of it, was actually used on something. And immediately, once they filed a lawsuit, Chronicles of Illyria was back on. And now, instead of being released as a massive multiplayer game on the Unreal Engine, it was going to be a small strategy game similar to the Banished games. If you ever played Banished, it's a small city builder, albeit with some new promised features. And that this other game would somehow turn into Chronicles of Illyria at some time in the future,
Nope.
finances permitting.
Nope.
And everyone knows why Jeremy did this. I don't even think he's disputed it legally, so I think I'm just afraid to say it. Everyone knows that if a studio gives you a minimum viable product, you're going to get out of the contractual obligations that you were promised in terms of a pledge. And sure, a lot of people have been saying about Pantheon, oh, these were donations, they're going to be fine. No. That's not how the law works. I'm no lawyer, but I've studied jurisprudence and I can read legal documents. I can tell you that's not how it works. If I start taking pledges to make a game and I don't do it,
Yep, that is violation
that's
of.
fraud.
That's
I could
fraud.
take donations.
Yes. That's bad acting.
Allegedly fraud. I could take donations for a charity for a species of whale.
Oh, I see a corpse.
They're donations, but I'm still behaving.
Good to know. He looks exactly like me.
And I would be legally punished for it. So the whole idea
These
of
gnomes
this new
have-
game that they've created is that they're realizing there's no way they're going to finish the MMO. It's never going to be finished. They can't provide any minimum viable product, and so they had to pivot to create a new minimum viable product, which they hope even might recoup some of the loss. So they changed the art style to be more Fortnite-y, and they're going to probably release this as a commercial. They say, we give you a solid maybe on whether this is a commercial product. A solid maybe. It's not a commercial product. It's not. We didn't take all your money and then design a different game because we realized there was no hope that we could make an MMO.
Let's go to Stormwind and
the reality.
Goldshare now. There's so much
They need
needless
to do two things. They do
time
need to
stuff
release
that
a
they
game,
did in this zone.
presumably. And
But,
they can't make an MMO, but they also don't want to be sued. And the new game mode is a way to attempt to do
To
all
appease everybody.
of
Yeah.
that in one swift blow.
With their own weird fantasy. They're like, how can we appease them, but then do something that we can stand and not act like we stole their money and we live in nice houses now and all this stuff. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, it just comes across as criminal a little bit.
Different style, create a new game that is an MMORPG, take the backlash, but in the end, they might make some money from this new game, and they won't be sued. And I think that gets us to the end of this video. Yeah, that's it. Oh, wait, I forgot. For those that are still watching, I was right. I was right. Yep. Yeah, just wanted to get that in there. Just, goodbye. See you in the next video. Like and subscribe. You want to subscribe to a man that's always right, right? See.
Aggro.
So that's what happened to that. Wow. So Pantheon... Albion Online is the only survivor. Huh? Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, the final. Yeah, wow. So yeah, Pantheon got canceled. Yeah, that's crazy. That's just crazy to me. There's very little I can do passively on Final Fantasy that doesn't put like XP at risk. I'm starting to understand this now. And I think I kind of want to sub it out for like Mortal, but there's nothing passive in Mortal either. So I mean there is, but there's not really. There's the messenger. I want him. He's mine. 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 Go. It's mine.
Aggro.
That's what I was waiting for, and I got it, too. I got it. Yeah. Whoa. Oh, he can run. He can also aggro. That's not good. No, they don't link with him, huh? He's gonna die on top of them, I guess. I don't want him to die on top of them. I want you to come back to me. Come back to me where we don't have a problem here. Yeah, you. Yeah, no link, no problems. Yeah, and I'm done here. I can leave. Yes. Okay, so now we go turn in and run all these stupid fetch quests all over these other places. And then... we will come back here to do this one. Well, no, that's still like a really high level quest for me right now. So we'll just ignore it. Hey, look, he's 16. That guy will give me a run for my money. Well, that's good. That's some progress, and I was patient, and it paid off. I need to look into like bracers and like belts and boots that have agi on them. Passive sandbox. Maybe the OSRS actually is better if I could just go the combat route and ignore all the quests. And just do the quests that you want to do.
What can I do for you? Be careful. This is indeed firm proof that Van Cleef is in charge. Now all we need to know is where the Defias gang is hiding out. We've had a stroke of luck while you were gone. We captured a thief trying to steal Saldean's wagon. He has promised to lead us to the hideout in exchange for his life. I want you to defend the traitor so he can reveal the hideout. Return to me once you have uncovered the location. Light bless you. Well met.
There is some kind of quest there that I don't want to do right now. I'm going to go do the travel parts of this. It's too
Where are you
high
going?
for me.
Well, if you're looking to get there quickly, then look no further.
Yeah, Yeah, my frames are good despite having three clients.
Where is it you would like to go, lass? For just a few coin, my griffins can get ye there faster than even the swiftest horse. These great beasts know paths that you can't find on...
Warp drive active.
Holy! We got a whole flippin' village. We're building our own miniature Stormwind. Foxlayer said that we found an underground vampire catacomb raid. Holy shit! Oh my god! Magnificent loot trove. Everybody make a line. Now this is nuts. Oh, I died. Now, yesterday, we attempted to build a castle in the water, and we thought that it was impossible to do that. Well. All right.
Wow. Yeah, it's beautiful. Nice clan base.
I was
See what's capable.
last night.
See what's possible.
And this is our own mini base on the way over there.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like last night, whenever I logged on, it was only the foundation. I actually had no idea what I was about to see when I turned around. I had no clue. I haven't logged on since last night. Alcatraz Castle, yep. We're gonna walk over there right now.
I wonder if somebody's gonna come attack them.
Out in the middle of the fucking of the lake. Walk, yeah.
It's weird. This shit blows their mind, but I mean, I've been seeing it in games for years, real games.
That there.
Yeah.
I don't know if we
Rust
own that
and-
one or not. Do we own that one, guys, or not?
Yeah, I'm sure you do, or it wouldn't be there. I'm sure you own all of it.
Yeah, the one I'm looking at? I'm not sure. No, they have no plans, some new guy. Okay, so he's a random person.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
Alright, here we go. The castle right here, gentlemen.
This is the medieval MMO that I've always wanted. Rust.
I'm just gonna go this way. That's to go up on top of here. It looks stupid good. Yeah, the game looks great. Like the visuals for the game, I think that a lot of people like the visuals. Holy shit. And this is another house right here. Now, I don't think this is one of ours. I think this is another random person. Look at this. This is amazing. Some random guy built this? Oh my god.
Well, random group of people, probably. Takes a lot of work to do that by yourself.
This is so nice.
Thank you.
Can you destroy it? No. But how do you get up into his house?
How are you?
Oh, thank you, adventurer. It's of no practical use to me, but the sentimental value, needless to say, thank you for bringing this to me at some cost to your own well-being, not to mention the time it took to go all the way down to Westfall. You have my gratitude and have this as a token of my thanks.
Good, good. Okay, so next we look at any other things that we can finish. This one's in gold, sure, I'll have to go do that too. But worth it. I'm already half away level into 15. I'm doing well. I think I'm happy with my progress here. I feel a lot safer in the human lands for some reason. The Night Elf lands are way harder. Lots more link and definitely far more compacted and stuffed with mobs, and this place is definitely spread out more. There's more empty land and easy traversal and stuff. The coast was kind of nasty, but the coast is cool later on when I'm like 20 or whatever. This game's about grinding. I didn't really realize, like, it's just as grindy as New World. It's, instead of farming, you're just chopping mobs down like they're trees. If I think of the mobs as trees, it works out for me. Gross. It's weird because I see these conversations that seem like the same conversations that you would hear 20 years ago, and I think, oh, fucking idiot kids. But they're not idiot kids. They're people my age. They're people my age talking like 12-year-olds, and it's something I've never understood. I don't have that anymore. It's not like I'm better than them or something. It's just that, like, I don't need my life to be full of crassness anymore. After 30 years of it, I'll try to get a little bit more classy, a little bit more refined, a little bit less of the in-your-face cussing, you know, and dirtiness.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit busy right now making horseshoes for Werner Osgood in Lakeshire. So old Werner needs some shoes, does he? Okay, I'll give him his 50 horseshoes. Here they are, all boxed up and ready to go. Tell Werner it was a pleasure doing business, and be sure he reads the note attached to this crate.
Those things are 26. Oh wait, no, those are upgrades. Oops.
Be careful.
It's a shame. 41 silver.
For the Alliance. Well met. Be careful. Greetings. For the Alliance. Father friend. Cooking is a lifelong pursuit, and I see we share the same passion. See you later.
I can train you in first aid techniques.
I supply only the finest goods. Have a good one.
That was the music of the game? Is it? Yes, it is.
Looking for something specific?
Some kind of weird. Why is there trippy music in the anvil forge area? I mean, it's weird. Vendor's about the same as the auction. I'll take the silver just because it's easier.
Safe travels.
So now what? I guess, I could go get the Dark Shore flight point. Or, sorry, Duskwood flight point. Because I have a quest there, I think, don't I? No, I don't have a quest to go there yet, and I'm not going to unless I need to. Yeah, nah. It's about the same walk down the road as it is all the way back to Stormwind and taking a flight point. I'm just gonna walk the road to Elwyn Forest. Oh, no, you know, I'm actually going back to Westfall, I think. Yeah, try to snag that quest, I guess. I don't know. No, there's no active quest there. They want me to do that's still too high. That's too high for me. So I will have to grind still. That one quest, oh no, I do have a quest to go to Lakeshore, yeah, and I have a turn-in. It's, oh yeah, no, I need to skin a sweet rum from Goldshire, I forgot about this, yeah. So in the inn, they'll sell me a cask of sweet rum, and I need that too. I do need to go to Duskwood for the liquor run, so I will. You say general supplies, probably the bartender, honestly. The bartender probably sells, what is it again? It's like sweet rum.
I supply only the finest goods. See you around. Looking for
Skin of sweet rum. Wait. There it is. Good. Oh man, like if I could go get like 5 or 10 gold on my rogue, that would buy so much leveling gear for something like a hunter. It would make it so lol. Just perfect agi gear across the bat for a long time, and like best bags and all that, and just sick like a pet, and it just eats everything. And run BM Hunter for my next 60 if I do take this one to 60. I keep dying, and I have to learn to take it seriously. And right around 17, I usually die. Gotta be very careful. At the river, we swim south all the way to Duskwood.
Salmon in the upper Columbia River Basin. Because notably more than 80 years after construction of the Grand Coulee Dam rendered the fish extinct in parts of Washington, Idaho, and British Columbia. But despite these efforts, salmon are also expected to continue their decline for the next several decades as climate change makes their waters too hot to inhabit. Right? Even now, 13 distinct populations are now considered threatened or endangered. And the consequences here go way beyond your dinner table. Because salmon play an essential role in many ecosystems, with bears and eagles plucking them out of the river, tiny organisms feeding on their carcasses and stream beds, and orcas and sea lions relying on them for food in the ocean. And then even if you're like, I don't give a fuck about animals, I don't eat salmon, the issue also comes back to where we started this story, a broken promise. Where the very way of life of many indigenous cultures in the Pacific Northwest is at risk of collapsing unless we do something to turn the ship around. And part of that comes down to you learning about the situation now. Because nothing really ever happens with our government unless there is a political capital, unless there is an acknowledgement and a push. And so for now, our eyes stay on the situation, and in the meantime, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts? And then, I'm just gonna get to the headline on this one. HelloFresh is offering you beautiful bastards free breakfast for life. Yeah, you get one breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. So thank you, HelloFresh, for being a fantastic sponsor of the PDS. You know, if you don't have time, no worries. HelloFresh takes care of the meal planning, so it makes whipping up that homemade meal a cinch. I mean, seriously, quick and easy meals take like 15 minutes, and it's less expensive than takeout. With over 40 recipes to choose from every week, HelloFresh provides in-season ingredients delivered right to your door, pre-portioned and ready to cook, along with pictured step-by-step recipe cards. I mean, HelloFresh has made it easier for our boys to get involved with the cooking process, which, you know, when I was little, I really didn't get, and I'm hoping this helps them later in life with adulting. And a big thing is that it's so much more than delicious dinners. HelloFresh can help take the hassle out of every mealtime with easy breakfasts, quick lunches, and snacks, all delivered along with your weekly box. And are you hosting this holiday season? Well, HelloFresh Market has just what you need to please a crowd without the hassle. I mean, from photo-worthy charcuterie boards to mouth-watering desserts. So just go to HelloFresh.com/DeFranco-free and use code DeFranco-free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. That's right, free breakfast for life. HelloFresh.com/DeFranco-free with code DeFranco-free.
This is very bad.
Today. And then I'm hoping that you can help me with this in deciding if this is more funny or if it's more like kind of embarrassing and disturbing about the state of things. Because there's was a Senate hearing today, and you saw union leaders speaking with lawmakers. And there are these string of moments that are blowing up online right now where things get heated between Teamsters President Sean O'Brien and Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. And all of it starting when Mullen gets to the mic and starts addressing O'Brien specifically.
Could have lost the run there. Jesus.
The senator after a previous hearing where they had a disagreement.
Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, any time. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine.
What?
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it.
You want a senator brawl?
Oh, hold on. Oh,
You want a senator brawl? Please keep the civility of our fucking leadership. Please do not turn the fucking please do not turn the house into like a fucking boxing ring, you pieces of shit.
You're a United States Senator. Sit active.
Okay.
Sit down. Sit down. Observe decorum.
Yourself. Hold it. You have the mic. You have time.
All right,
Just say.
then let's do this. Because I did challenge you and I accepted your challenge. And you went quiet.
No, I didn't go quiet.
Hold on.
You challenged me to a cage match,
No,
acting like a 12-year-old schoolyard bully.
Excuse me.
Hold it. No, excuse me.
I will say.
All right, you know one. He made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction, I read them.
Can you? What?
Oh, answer the question, please.
I can't understand him, to be honest with you. He rambles so much. What was your question, actually?
Man, high school never ends, but as entertaining as that fight was for me as an outsider, they didn't have to deal with it. Poor Bernie Sanders. That isn't actually why everyone got together this morning. Instead, several union presidents, including O'Brien and UAW President Sean Fain, met with the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee to discuss unions and their impact on the lives of Americans. During his opening remarks, Fain detailed the success of the UAW strike, saying,
There's far too much in our agreement to detail in a short testimony. But, four of the major areas, we raised wages dramatically for over 100,000 workers. We took a major step toward ensuring a just transition in electric vehicles. We improved retirement security for hundreds of thousands of retirees. And lastly, we secured jobs. Job security was a major part of this bargaining for current employees and future members. And we bargained for language that allows us to strike these companies if they don't honor their commitments, which has been a huge issue in the past.
When Chairman Bernie Sanders asked about UAW's plan for organizing in the future, Fain said,
We're going to organize like hell. I've said this throughout the last year that when you bargain good agreements, when you set a standard, people want to be a part of that success. And it's what changed my grandparents' life.
And notably, a frequent topic of discussion during the hearing was how the deals struck by the UAW have caused a ripple effect throughout the industry.
And, we set that standard. And immediately you saw Toyota, Honda, and now Hyundai changing their conditions, raising pay for their workers, and shortening the progression to getting full pay from 8 years to 4 years, from 6 years to 3 years. And we did the same thing from 8 years to 3 years. So obviously, that is a direct result of the impact of what we bargained for.
And that said, while these deals are historic and have seen substantial impact outside of just the union, thousands of UAW members are voting against them. For example, of the more than 4,000 votes cast in Kentucky at Ford's largest plant, 54.5% of them were no votes. And of the roughly 25,000 total votes cast by Ford's UAW members so far, 34% have been no's. Which of course, yes, means the yeses still have the majority, but the number of those against the deal is still worth talking about. Especially because this isn't limited to just Ford. Thousands of GM workers are also voting against their deal. In fact, 72% of production workers and 56% of skilled trade workers at GM's Spring Hill, Tennessee manufacturing facility voted against the deal. And 48% of the roughly 16,000 GM votes cast so far have been against the deal. Also, Stellantis so far had fewer than 5,000 votes cast, with the majority being approval, but there's also distrust regarding whether the company will actually adhere to the standards laid out in the deal. So ultimately, right now, we're still waiting on the final numbers for the ratification of these agreements. But in the meantime, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts here, whether it be on the last part or that explosive first part. And then let's talk about yesterday today, where we take a look back at yesterday's show. We dive into those comments and see what y'all were saying, or what are your opinions, your reasons, sometimes your experiences. And there, regarding the possible and impending government shutdown, we have people saying there needs to be a law requiring congressional members to not be paid during shutdowns, which I absolutely support as well. That way, at the very least, you would feel like you are a part of the thing. You are part of the fight and you're not just like on top being the puppet master. We need our leaders to have some skin in the game that goes beyond them maybe not abusing the stock market. There was also, of course, a lot of conversation around that Billie Eilish piece yesterday, which if you didn't see, I don't want to oversimplify it, go watch yesterday's show. But we're sharing things like, as a man who stopped growing at 5'7" by the age of 17 and a decade later is still told off for not being able to grow taller, thank you for the stand-up. I wish we lived in a world where everybody was treated kindly no matter the circumstances. As well as someone who's middle of the road now, but has been on both extreme sides, you're 100% correct about
Both
how
extreme
people treat you one weight
sides.
versus a lighter weight. I live
Where
in a
would you
very
like to
average
fly
person,
to?
middle of the road place now, and the amount of people who pretend I don't exist or avoid eye contact
Safe
is
travels.
crazy. As well as, it really struck a nerve
Where
with
would
me
you like to
emotionally, and I
fly
think
to?
that speaks to the impact body shaming can have on people. I remember when I was a young teenager, I had girls look me in the eyes and tell me I was too short for them. Like, damn, just be vague or lie. It stings a lot, and it makes you feel small and unlovable, made me not like myself. You grow and become comfortable in your own skin and learn to love yourself, but we can always stand to be kinder. I'm sure Billy could understand that in hindsight. Then also, on the other side of this, we saw comments like, as a woman, the most hurtful comments I have reviewed about my body have been from other women. Being an asshole is not exclusive to gender. And again, as something I stressed in yesterday's show, and I think looking through the comments, a lot of people understood as well and were kind of in agreement with, that was not a, like, fuck Billie Eilish story. I just think, understandably, she's been so focused on how she has been treated that sometimes can make you short-sighted in a different avenue or dismiss someone else's struggle. And some of you who have watched me for a while know, like, when people talk about my weight, I sometimes lose my cool, I overreact, I have to, like, apologize to someone privately. But I think it's important to speak about it in a more calm manner like I did yesterday, because that's where, like, actual discourse can happen. Even though that can be hard because, you know, the whole thing can be so incredibly hurtful and leave lots of scars on you emotionally. And actually, right after I recorded that line, I saw this comment that I think really hits on that. It said, as an ugly guy, my first reaction was to think, fuck you, you don't understand what it's like. But I think that a more sober response is to acknowledge that it is hard to believe that someone might be dying of thirst when you yourself are drowning. That is where your daily dive into the news is going to end today. Though, for more news you need to know, I got you covered right here. You can click or tap to watch it, or I got links in the description. But no matter the case, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow to break down more news.
The marvelization of... Oh, like stories of old is very funny. Yeah, the marvelization of cinema, yeah. So this one was 7 days ago. This was 6 days ago. So this was the
Today,
next
we're
one.
talking about the war on bodies and shaming, thanks to Billie Eilish. And this one hit a little at home for me. We're days away from a catastrophic government shutdown, just in time for Thanksgiving travel. How you're getting screwed over because people are scamming car insurance companies. And the Israel-Hamas war is playing out at more hospitals in Gaza with patients getting caught in the crossfire. We're talking about all that and so much more in today's brand new Philip DeFranco show. You daily dive into the news, so just make sure you hit that like button and let's jump into it. Starting with, let's talk about this Billie Eilish situation. It's a little bit entertainment, societal, drama, and this time it all stems from this Variety article titled, Billie Eilish was made for this. Being a woman is just such a war.
I could really use a
Adding
hand
the
here,
piece,
Adventure.
especially
With
being
the
a
town
young
under
woman in
siege,
the public eye
it's
is
been hard
really
to get
unfair. Well, there's a
supplies.
number of things.
My tools were being delivered from Goldshire by wagon, but the bridge was blown out. We put the tools in a boat, but the orcs hit it with a catapult. Just my luck. My toolbox sank right to the bottom of the lake. Retrieve my toolbox, adventurer, and I'll make it worth your while.
I thought I already did that.
Greetings. Thank you. This really helps me out. But what's this? Argus sent a note with the crate. What? Argus wants me to pay him? Bah. Well, adventurer, thank you for your help. I need some underbelly scales from black dragon whelps to pay for the shoes Argus sent me from Goldshire. If you can get 6 of them for me, then I can pay Argus with some and have enough left to fashion something for you. Black dragon whelps are often flying around south of Lakeshire, but they like to wander. You might have to just keep an eye out and hunt them when you see them. As if the attacking orcs weren't enough, now I have gnoll brutes and mystics prowling along the ridge north of my stable, taking my horses when they stray. If you can get rid of those gnolls, my horses and I would be very grateful. Thank you for your time, adventurer. For your service to Lakeshire and Stormwind, I reward you with these coins. Now, if you'll excuse me, I find this correspondence somewhat of a mystery. Something is amiss in our kingdom. I fear this is the beginning of conflict, not the end. Something odd is afoot with the Stormwind army. They should have been here in force by now. Time is a luxury we don't have, however. I will not stand by and watch the people of Lakeshire give their lives without trying to enlist more help. I've heard word of a people's militia forming in Westfall. Take this plea to their leader, Grian Stoutmantle. Perhaps Stoutmantle's men can lend some support here until the king sends reserves.
Nothing would please me more than to make you some Red Ridge goulash. But there's a slight problem. During the recent orc uprising, I fed the entire brigade of Stormwind troops. My cupboard is now bare, but if you can provide me with the ingredients, I'd be happy to oblige. Just bring me 5 pieces of tough condor meat, 5 great Goratusk snouts, and 5 helpings of crisp spider meat.
About in the piece, there's this section that has gotten a lot of attention. She's talking about how she's been talked about and seen as she's been growing up, and there's this bit there where she says, I have big boobs. I've had big boobs since I was 9 years old, and that's just the way I am. That's how I look. With Variety saying she became exasperated as she recalled the media frenzy when she first dared to wear a tank top in public at age 16. And Eilish going on to say, you wear something that's at all revealing, and everyone's like, oh, but you didn't want people to sexualize you? With that, saying to the
Where would
trolls,
you
you
like
can
to
suck
fight
my
to?
ass. I'm literally a being that is sexual sometimes. Fuck you. But then also, Variety saying, if you're muscular, cool.
I agree.
If you're not, cool. If you're rail thin, cool. If you have a dad bod, cool. If you're pudgy, love it. Everybody's happy with it. You know why? Because girls are nice. They don't give a fuck because we see people for who they are. There, I gotta say, no. I'm not gonna go as far as to say Billie Eilish is lying here, but she is, I think, wildly misinformed. Everyone is capable of body shaming. Now, before I go on, I want to preface it all by saying I am in no way trying to make a one-to-one comparison to what women deal with on a daily basis. The way women's bodies are perceived, discussed, and even weaponized on a daily basis is such a different thing. And the sexualization aspect that Billy was talking about is mostly a uniquely women's issue, no doubt. And honestly, I probably would lose my fucking mind if I was subjected to that. But then, to go as far as to say women don't care about men's bodies, they just like you for you, that is just not true. And I say this as someone whose body has been wildly different over the years. Right, currently, I am probably in the best shape I've ever been in, except maybe around the time I got married. And I've also had a lot of weight on me. And the first thing I can tell you, the way a majority of people, including women,
I wanna look
treat
like
you
him.
is drastically different. And for anyone else out there who has lost a lot of weight, you know what I'm talking about. It is enough to almost make you fucking hate everybody. Because you're like, I'm the same person as I was at just a different weight. And then, just to go a little further, because obviously weight is just one aspect, have you ever fucking seen the open contempt short guys get? I gotta stand up for a second for my short kings out there. And I'm just gonna leave it at those two for now. Because like, this is not like an incel rallying cry. It's like, oh, he's one of us, all women are that's not what this is. Rather, what I hope I'm getting across is I think that it does a disservice to the argument and conversation around the way people talk about everyone's bodies, women's bodies, to just dismiss anything that men go through. But, you know, that is a story that set things off online, some of my personal opinions on it. And of course, now I'll pass the question off to you, whether you agree or you disagree with me. What are your thoughts here? And then this whole scheme that was just exposed is so interesting. Right, so there's this network of auto glass repair shops and lawyers who are raking in the money by exploiting legal loopholes over insurance companies, which I will say, I'm not going to ask you to feel bad for massive insurance companies.
No.
We also need to talk about
If we're gonna rob somebody, let it be insurance companies.
For
Yeah.
Florida's residents. Okay, here's how it works. Auto glass shops will offer car owners a free windshield replacement. And in some cases, they even offer freebies to entice owners to agree, like gift cards or steak dinners, sometimes worth as much as $200. They then get the signature from the car owner, which transfers the assignment of benefits to the auto glass company and allows the company to sue in their name, with them then repairing the glass and sending an outrageously high bill to the insurance companies. When the insurance denies or pays only part of the claim, lawyers will then sue them for payment and legal fees. And the key thing, often lumping together hundreds of these cases and getting the insurance company to settle for a huge sum, because it ends up being cheaper for the insurance company than litigating each one separately, even if some of the cases are winnable. And while here, the total cost of the claims made were unknown, those working to shut the loopholes put it in the tens of millions of dollars per year. And very notably, this tactic happens almost exclusively in Florida, where there have been more than 46,000 auto glass lawsuits this year alone, according to the Department of Financial Services. And in many cases, those who are having lawsuits filed in their name have no idea. And if their insurance company is forced to pay out, all those people could see some steep repercussions. With Mark Friedlander, Director of Communications for the Insurance Information Institute, saying, not only will it most likely lead to a higher rate at their next renewal date, but it has the potential to generate a non-renewal at the end of their current policy period. But also beyond the effect that these specific people could feel, there could be wider consequences. Because while car insurance rates across the country are already rising, nowhere is it felt more than Florida. The average premium is $2,560, the highest in the country. I mean, that premium is 88% higher than just 10 years ago. You know, usually insurance companies cite hurricanes and uninsured drivers as the reasons for raising rates.
No one's
they don't
ever
often mention
stolen anything
massive
out of
obligation
here.
calls on
Not in the whole
customers. And advocate
history
groups
of
say the
the
quote,
whole history.
unscrupulous auto glass shops
Welcome
and
to
lawyers
the
are a
Bank of
leading
Stormwind.
factor behind the rising
We
cost
offer
of
financial
insurance in
accounts
Florida.
and
Now,
safety
also,
deposit
with this,
boxes
obviously,
for
insurance
valuable
companies aren't
items.
exactly
Do you already
fond
have
of
an
having
account
their
with
money
us, ma'am?
squeezed from their wallets, which is why when these auto glass lawsuits spiked in 2019, a collection of insurance groups started calling for changes to the state's laws. An initiative called Fix the Cracks. And since then, the initiative has actually helped pass 2 laws intending on closing those loopholes. One of which actually makes offering gifts or perks in exchange for services illegal. And it also actually prohibits the transfer of assignment of benefits or policies reissued or renewed after May of 2023. But that grace period still leaves a 6 to 12 month gap for lawyers to file as many lawsuits as possible before existing policies are renewed. And so in the meantime, these suits have just continued to roll in. But for now, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens when that grace period ends. So I don't think that there's gonna be a happy ending for like all consumers. Like I don't predict the insurance companies to go, well, that's done. Let's lower the rates for everybody and make less money. But time will tell, and of course, as often is the case, I'd love to be wrong there. But in the meantime, I'd also love to hear from you if you had any experience with this as well, or just what your thoughts are in general. And then, it's here! As promised, it is finally time. We are less than a week from the government possibly shutting down. The November 17th deadline. But, notably over the weekend, we saw our new House Speaker, Mike Johnson, who is definitely a real person, and not an amalgamation of anti-abortion ads and January 6th minimalism turned into a person, introducing his new plan to keep the government open. Though notably here, Speaker Johnson's proposal is just a temporary solution to keep the government open, or as what's known as a stopgap measure. And while a stopgap is a common practice that allows them to keep the government open so lawmakers actually have the time to hash out spending details, Johnson's actual plan here is unusual because it's a 2-step bill, one that sets 2 different deadlines by which Congress had to agree to fund certain parts of the government. Right? And that, instead of just having them agree to fund the whole government all at once in one sitting. And specifically here, the stopgap forces Congress to first deal with less controversial areas like construction, vegetation, housing, agriculture, the FDA, and energy. The goal being to fund those areas until January 19th. And then funding for all other federal operations, including major areas like defense, those will be extended until February 2nd. But a key thing is that right now, it remains to be seen if that plan actually has enough support. I mean, Johnson's proposal at least seems to be aimed at uniting both the far right and more moderate factions of his messy, chaotic party. It includes different funding deadlines, which is what the hardliners wanted, but it's also a clean bill that leaves out the more controversial measures pushed by the far right, like steep budget cuts. And also, very notably here, it excludes other priorities like border security funding and aid for Ukraine and Israel. Though, in his attempt to keep everyone happy, Johnson has, of course, pissed off the far right, with now numerous top members from that faction coming out and saying they oppose this proposal, meaning that Johnson will almost certainly need the support of some Democrats if he wants to pass this stopgap in the narrowly controlled House. So on that front, House Democrats have been relatively quiet, and some saying that lack of criticism could signal that they could be open to passing a stopgap, but at the same time, it's believed they don't want to lose their negotiating leverage on key issues like aid in Israel and Ukraine. While we've seen some Democrats in the Senate more directly indicate they are open to this plan, others have condemned the 2-step funding for being messy and unnecessary, with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries calling this idea ridiculous last week before Johnson officially unveiled his proposal. And a very big thing, this was also echoed by the White House, which mocked Johnson's plan, calling it unserious and accusing the GOP of just wasting time. Though on the note of time, that is key, because it's not just a few days away. There is a fear out there of just how disastrous this shutdown could be ahead of the holidays. Right? Because, I mean, just one aspect of this is that if the government shuts down, 3.5 million federal workers will be forced to go without pay. And that includes 50,000 airport security officers and 13,000 air traffic controllers who will still be forced to go into work. And that could create a huge dumpster fire ahead of Thanksgiving. I mean, it's some of the busiest travel days of the entire year, with around 4.7 million people expected to fly over the 5-day period. I mean, we're talking about the most in almost 2 decades. And also, you know, I say those airport workers would technically be forced to come in, but you might remember during the last shutdown in 2019, massive numbers of workers just happened to call in sick as the shutdown dragged on. And with that, we saw huge lines and delays at airports nationwide. And I mean, that's just one sector of the economy that's going to be impacted. Though, of course, the one not impacted are the members of Congress who will still get their paychecks, even as their famously underpaid staffers don't. And so for now, the dumpster fire just rages on, and we'll keep our eyes on it. And then, you know, for any of you focused on getting your business off the ground, creating a place to share your homemade goods, or even a personal blog, I got a great solution for you. And it comes from, and I want to thank the fantastic sponsor of today's show, Squarespace. And I've been partnering with Squarespace for years now, and I have to say, it is just so easy. There's nothing to install, patch, or update ever. And creating a beautiful website with Squarespace's Fluid Engine is so easy. You just drag things where you like, no coding necessary. And if you need a starting point, Squarespace has a bunch of great professional templates. You can even sell custom merch easily. Squarespace handles all the production and shipping. Plus, with Squarespace, you get access to all their marketing tools and analytics and their award-winning customer care team via email or live chat 24/7. So go check it out and see why so many others love it. See why you're gonna love it, and start your free trial today over at squarespace.com/Phil. And an important thing for you, make sure you enter an offer code Phil to get 10% off your first purchase. And then the Democrats have a 2024 election problem. While there's in no way just one issue, we're going to start with one of the most significant, which is the recent recent announcement from Joe Manchin, or the so-called Democrat senator for West Virginia, who said in a video on social media that he will not be seeking his seat again next year.
We
And
were
that
deep
is
in a vast
absolutely
mine in
massive.
Westville, hidden beneath a barn in Moonbrook. No clue where these stinking thieving types came from. Anyway, the mine tunnel collapsed on us. I got out, but the others... well, the others haven't been heard from. You look like you might have better luck in there. If you could look for my brother, I'd be thankful. He always carried his Explorers League badge. If you can't find him, that badge would at least give me some peace of mind. Many of my friends perished that horrible day when the mine tunnel caved in. If your adventures happen to bring you into that wing of the mine in Moonbrook, please keep an eye out for any fire which might identify them. If you come across any of their miners' union cards, bring them back to me, and I'll make sure their families get some resolution from this horrible accident.
I've always really loved this RP. I thought this was the coolest part about the whole game, was the Iron Forge and Stormwind were connected by a cool underground sub-aqua marine tunnel, yep, with a tram. I don't think I'm gonna make it, and I don't want to bust a sprint for this. I made it. Gotta be very careful. You could die doing this or end up getting a really long run, so you just don't want to move. You just want to, you know, you just want to chill and do the RP.
Because while, yes,
reminds me of the Rust
Joe
train.
Manchin and Democrat mentioned in the same sentence, their eyes roll back in their head so far, they're at risk of getting stuck. He was, at least in name and on some policies, a Democrat, which gave them a majority. And one of the key things with Manchin is that he represents a very solidly red state. I mean, he is literally the state's only Democrat in statewide office. So his decision to resign makes it pretty damn clear that a Republican's going to get elected, which seriously threatens Democrats' already tenuous 51-49 control of the Senate. And while some might say, hey, if everything else stayed the same, you still have a 50-50 split in the Senate. You got VP Harris. But, I mean, there's no guarantees. I mean, I understand that we're a little less than a year away and numbers can drastically change, but have you seen Biden's numbers? And well, hey, I very much believe that voters decide elections, not polls. To disregard them would be a disastrous mistake. And going back to the Senate, there is no guarantee that everything else would remain the same. I mean, Senate Dems are already looking at an absolutely brutal map heading into 2024. They have 23 seats to defend compared to Republicans who have just 10. Some of those 23 seats are incumbents in red and purple states who are seriously vulnerable to losing. Right, so Manchin's decision there makes West Virginia, which was already expected to be an incredibly tough case, almost impossible. Because the key thing about elections is that incumbents usually have a massive leg up on the competitors. Right? They have the name recognition, institutional backing, mean they'll almost always outraise opponents because donors are more willing to bet on a more likely winner. And so this just opens up the playing field. And also at the same time, we're seeing movement in the House. I mean, just today we saw Representative Abigail Spanberger announcing that she is not seeking re-election for her seat representing Virginia's 7th district and will instead run for governor. And that's especially significant because Spanberger's district is very competitive.
You can help us in the battle
so that
for
seems
Nova Region.
imperative
In Stormwind, you will find the commander of our underground assault crew, Shoni the Silent. Shoni needs assistance with her gyrodrillmatic excavationators. You will probably find her amongst the dwarves in Stormwind. Good luck, adventurer. We've lost contact with Bingles. He was sent on a reconnaissance mission over Nomaregan and hasn't reported back in over a week. I just know he's gone and blown himself up. He was last seen flying over the loch. Perhaps you can investigate, adventurer.
That's it, though. Cool. So first we must go get the flight path, and then I can get back here forever, which is cool. Can't ever go AFK in this city or you'll end up in the drink and burn and die. Even remotely, just stay away. Don't ever AFK in this room.
The Wildhammer dwarves might have fast steeds, but can those airy pick griffins stand the heat of the Great Forge? I think not.
Yeah, it's good. All of it is good. We shall exit out and go to Lakmodan just because it's free XP. Just for doing exploration. I don't mind exploration. Anything that brings me closer to 16 and less of a grind, and then opens up any other like venues or anything. No, I'm not fighting for Warsong Gulch. I can't believe, yeah, I don't even think the honor payment will even open. Yeah, I don't think that's the thing.
Scooped up by a Republican candidate. And her announcement comes just one day after another Democrat in the House announced their departure, though for very different reasons. And that member being Representative Brian Higgins, who said that he will leave the House in February because he's done, he's over it. Saying that after nearly 20 years in Congress, he can't even stomach finishing his term because the chamber is so dysfunctional. Like he's genuinely leaving in February. Though notably, with Higgins, his district is in upstate New York, and it's pretty heavily blue. So that really just
yeah, he's just like, I don't want to do my job anymore. They won't work with me. They won't talk. I can't get anything done. They're just a bunch of no assholes that are like over there conniving, and yeah, and I could see it. I could see that being a problem. Unfortunately, it happens, man. It happens. I'm gonna log off Final Fantasy because I'm not getting it done. I'm not even fishing. And log and
how fucking miserable and dysfunctional the government is right now, rather than like a problem for Dems there. And actually, all in all, as of today, a total of 31 members of Congress have said that they will not run for re-election in 2024. But that including 7 senators, 5 Democrats, and 2 Republicans, and 24 members of the House. So of those 24, 14 are running for other office. With most of these folks, largely Democrats, running for those seats vacated by those 7 senators. While the other 10 representatives who are equal parts Democrats and Republicans are just leaving the House altogether. So yeah, just, the lead up into another one of those most important elections of our lifetime things. Again, cool, fun. Though if I can end on a constant, I would say regardless of the changes, regardless of the polling, when it comes time, just vote. Polls don't decide elections, voters do. Because the only guarantee I'll give you is you will not get closer to the world you want to see by not voting because you're overconfident it's going to go your way anyway, nor if you're doom and gloomy and you're like, it could never go our way. Knowledge is just half the battle. The other half is action. And then, so as always, coming out of the weekend, it means that there are a ton of updates on the war between Israel and Hamas. And with that, I'm going to try and keep this lean because there's a lot to get through. So first off, the actual war on the ground continues to grind on, with Israel making consistent headway into Gaza City. And that, of course, leading to more and more deaths. But the biggest concern for many are the region's hospitals. Right? According to the Palestine Red Crescent Society, Israel has attacked Al-Quds Hospital, tweeted, Israeli tanks and military stationed near Al-Quds Hospital from all directions. Bombardment is ongoing. With Israel claiming that Hamas fired on its soldiers from inside the hospital, and quote, during the exchange of fire, civilians were seen leaving the hospital building, and other terrorists who came out of adjacent buildings hid among them and joined the attempted attack. So Al-Quds is hardly the only hospital where fighting is taking place. At Al-Shifa Hospital, Gaza's largest, there is extremely intense fighting that has led to thousands seeking treatment and shelter there to flee. Which, I mean, that alone has led to many innocent people dying, despite Israel claiming that it provides safe corridors for people to flee. With people saying things like, imagine being told an area is safe when you can hear and see the fighting going on right next to it. But regardless, gunfire is hardly the only problem at the hospital. There's also a massive fuel shortage. Since October 7th, fuel supplies to Gaza have been cut off, and the aid convoys making their way to the south of the region haven't included any. Hamas health officials at the hospital saying that at least 32 patients, including 3 premature babies, have died over the past 3 days because of lack of fuel. But there are expected to be many more deaths as the life-saving machines that require fuel slowly run out. And that number could be in the hundreds. According to the World Health Organization, there are between 600 and 650 patients at Shifa, not to mention the nearly 2,000 healthcare workers and displaced people seeking shelter there. And for its part, Israel claims that it has tried to allow 300 liters of fuel into Shifa, but saying Hamas blocked it. And all of this as Israeli forces continue to advance on the hospital, which of course just increases the chances of civilian deaths. Now also here, it does need to be noted that it doesn't seem like Hamas is firing from the hospital, as Israel claimed was the case for Al-Quds. However, the IDF has long claimed that Hamas has used Shifa as a prime place to hide bunkers by placing massive tunnels under the hospital. And it's because of this placement, alongside the alleged actions at Al-Quds, that the EU has issued a statement saying the EU condemns the use of hospitals and civilians as human shields by Hamas. Civilians must be allowed to leave the combat zone. But they also made it clear that this does not give Israel an excuse to indiscriminately just start targeting civilians in hospitals, saying hospitals must be supplied immediately with the most urgent medical supplies, and patients that require urgent medical care need to be evacuated safely. In this context, we urge Israel to exercise maximum restraint to ensure the protection of civilians. And also, the fuel shortage has had an impact on way more than just the hospitals in the region. Right? Most areas haven't had power for weeks, and UN agencies in Gaza are now saying they'll have to cease operations within 48 hours if they don't get fuel. With that being said, this isn't the first time they've made such claims. So you have all of this happening on the ground, but then there's
a shame these guys weren't there.
Right? And that's in addition to both sides.
I wish you could see their level.
Like, for example, Israel's Agricultural Minister Avi Dichter describing the ongoing war as Gaza's Nakba. For many Palestinians, that connection is extremely dark. Nakba is Arabic for catastrophe, and it's what they call the mass displacement of Palestinians that arose after they, alongside many Arab countries, tried to wipe Israel off the map in 1948. Then you also have the Heritage Minister saying that nuking Gaza was an option in response to an interview question, with the other option, according to him, being, quote, to work out what's important to them, what scares them, what deters them. And both of them landing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government in some hot water, with Netanyahu even telling his cabinet yesterday, every word has meaning when it comes to diplomacy. If you don't know, don't speak. We must be sensitive. And he's not wrong there. Every word has meaning when it comes to diplomacy. And stupid and dangerous comments, it makes it that much harder, especially when you're talking about a situation where there are so many lives on the line, including the many hostages out there. I mean, speaking of that, Netanyahu even admitted that there were actually talks for a possible exchange, with outlets reporting that it could involve upwards of 80 Israeli hostages in return for some prisoners. However, because of the ongoing fighting at Shifa and other hospitals, it's possible those talks were derailed. Also, outside of the Middle East, we've seen major things happening from this war. Out in Europe, we've continued to see massive pro-Palestinian protests and marches, with many European countries, according to reports, deeply concerned that such movements are a mask for groups like Hamas, leading to places like France trying to tackle the issue as broadly as
We heard the cries in the middle of the night. Then this morning, sure enough, the herd was missing 2 rams. That dastardly beast known as Vagash has been preying on our livelihood. With most of King Magni's army off in distant lands fighting with the Alliance, there is no one to keep Vagash at bay. Perhaps you are brave enough to seek out the beast and slay him. Bring me one of his fangs, and I will reward you. Vagash lurks just above the ranch here. But be warned, he is deadly.
Oh, gotta watch that fall damage. Just gonna stay on the ground here.
Aggro.
Is he not here or what? Oh.
Aggro.
Shit. Oh, someone died here. Doctor Who berries. No. Oh, the fall could kill you. You gotta be just so careful. Yeah, can I get down there without dying? I think I can. Reminds me of Rust.
Welcome. Very Very well done. Baron will be so happy when he hears the good news. To kill Vegash is no easy task. I imagine one day you'll be fighting alongside King Magni's men on the Alliance front.
Nice, that one's good money.
Good.
Got 5 silver for that.
I've the finest wares in the land.
Or no, it's a disenchant. Yay, magic essence. I would like a better enchant on my bracers. Yeah, the deflect. Oh, I don't have a strange dust though. Oh well, that's okay. I'll get one. That public servant one might be good, but yeah, like I don't know. Like it kind of seems like that was worth it a little bit. I don't know. I think I'll probably do better in Lac-Modan. The green quest is right here. I mean, I don't know. I don't mind it, I guess. Whatever it is going to give me money, if nothing else, and I'm okay with that.
It's possible in issuing a blanket ban on those marches and displays of support for Palestine. We've also seen Berlin banning the use of the slogan "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," under the pretext that it allegedly calls for the elimination of Israel and Jewish people. Which, I mean, we've talked about this before, but to clarify there, for some people, that is indeed what it means, but also for many others, it's a call for the political freedom and autonomy of the Palestinian people, not a call for violence. Then also, it's these
I'm
bans.
taking it upon myself to take care of this part of the Trog infestation that has gripped our lands. They've certainly made a mess of the
Yep, kill quest is good. These are level 11. Works for me. Let's do it. And hopefully they'll drop stuff that'll vendor well. Yeah, I mean, they're just barely worth killing, but... I could drop in here. Oh my god. I thought that Earthroot was a body. I was like, wait, will that kill me? Yeah, these are gray, really. They're not even going to give XP, I don't think. But I don't know. Let's see. Will you give this XP? I don't know. Like very fast to kill this.
Aggro.
Nice. Yeah, this could be worth it. The Skull Hatchet was a silver. See, so it is worth it. We could get money off this. It's worth it. Fuck it.
Bans have led to widespread backlash that European countries are ditching their commitments to freedom of speech. People having takes like, you can burn Qurans in Europe in the name of freedom of speech, but you can hardly express your opinion on the Palestine-Israel conflict. As well as others saying Europe seems to be freedom of speech absolutist until you scream free Palestine. What a weird time to be alive. So with this, while it may have curbed some marches, it definitely hasn't stopped signs of solidarity for Palestine, although we've seen it happening often in ways that under many. With examples popping up like in France, they had a World War I memorial that shows the Palestinian flag. Also, as all this is playing out in the UK, we've seen some key government positions getting shaken. Home Secretary Suella Braverman was ditched after accusing the London police of having a double standard with how they dealt with protests. Saying on the one hand that they clashed with far-right protesters while pro-Palestinian ones, something that Braverman called hate marches for that march being challenged. But I mean, the totality of her remarks left British police angry with the former head of counter-terrorism policing in the UK telling BBC, "You have a chance of inflaming both sides when you make such divisive remarks. Making comments that are potentially divisive is a very dangerous thing to do. No Home Secretary we've served under would have done the same thing." So we saw for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak that was too much and break things out. We've also seen some other surprises, like Sunak bringing in former Prime Minister David Cameron as Foreign Secretary. That likely to be a controversial choice, as Cameron's the Prime Minister who resigned after the disaster that was the Brexit referendum. This is a developing situation on all fronts, continuing to keep our eyes on it. And in the meantime, of course, I'd love to know, what are your thoughts here on any aspect of it? And then, let's talk about yesterday, today, where you take a look back at the last show, we dive into those comments to see what y'all had to say. If you happen to miss that episode, definitely check it out after this one. But it was definitely a lot of talk.
They don't give XP, but they give money.
Y'all sharing that you felt so strongly for the Wade family, saying it seems so cruel to intentionally keep them in the dark. Others arguing police not reporting to the mother about her dead son is an encapsulation of police at its finest, saying at best they are painfully incompetent, and at worst they are dreadfully spiteful and malicious. Some of y'all shared your own experiences, saying, "I work at a funeral home. I work with families that have lost their loved one. I see the suffering that families go through in losing a loved one in a normal way, and I cannot fathom how much harder it must be for the Wade family." And going honestly, this family has been failed on so many levels, and there's no coming back from the suffering.
He gave XP, which is good.
Numerous failures. To lose a family member and deal with knowing nothing about what had occurred for months, to then finding out that the answers were there from the very beginning must be utterly devastating. But then others saying, what if it wasn't just, them being inept? Saying it's wild to think we live in a world where police can hit and kill a pedestrian, claim it was somehow the pedestrian's fault after conducting their own little investigation, and then throw a human being into a shallow grave with basically zero legal recourse. Vehicular manslaughter and reckless driving are two charges that come to mind, and that's if we're optimistic.
Now you know why I hate the police.
No telling how long he was suffering without proper medical care because some cop had his career to worry about. And then I was going to close this segment by talking about all the comments about Omegle's shutdown, because many people shared their stories, but just to be transparent, if I repeated many of the stories, thank you for sharing, because it was great to see conversation happening. You can go to the comment section yourself and look through it. If I include that in this show, they will suppress this video as well. What I will say, though, is, it sounds like Omegle was in an incredibly unsafe place. I will just leave it at that. And that is where your daily dive into the news is going to end today. But for more news you need to know that you might have missed, right here. I've already got links in the description down below. And of course, as always, my name's Philip. You've just been filled in. I love no face. I'm going to see you right back here tomorrow to talk more news.
Frogs. Look how deadly this would be for just someone else, much less somebody 5 levels higher. Nice, that one's worth 2 silver. This was worth it. This actually pays. I can't believe Alex Jones made a video game. Wow. Let's watch this one.
Charlie's conflict with the morbidly obese YouTuber Nico Carter Avocado would go down as one of the most infamous controversies in YouTube history. From clickbaiting his content and faking injuries for views, all the way to filing false copyright strikes on smaller creators, resulting in termination. It goes without saying that Nico Carter Avocado has one of the most controversial histories on YouTube. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we'll be looking into the most notorious mukbang YouTuber on the platform, Nico Carter Avocado, a YouTuber who's willing to do anything for views, even if that means destroying his health, relationships, and getting into a massive controversy with one of YouTube's biggest commentary channels, Zero. Mukbang videos have become an increasingly popular genre on YouTube. The videos involve creators filming themselves eating copious amounts of food while making jokes, telling stories, and developing relationships with their audience. While the niche originally started in South Korea, mukbangs would quickly spread across the globe, with several millions of viewers tuning in to watch their favorite creators binge on junk food. One of the most infamous mukbang creators on the platform is Nico Carter Avocado. Whilst on the surface it may just seem his channel as videos of a morbidly obese man feeding into his habits, it goes a lot deeper. His channel documents the decay of a man willing to risk it all in the pursuit of viral success and internet fame. This very pursuit would be what would land Nico Carter Avocado in a massive controversy with Pink on Zero, aka Charlie. But Nico Carter Avocado wasn't always like this. Nico Carter started his content creation journey back in 2014, where he would focus on veganism and improving his violin skills. He emphasized the benefits of his plant-based lifestyle and criticized the meat industry. Alongside that, he was a genuinely accomplished violinist, showcasing complex arrangements on his channel. Initially, veganism seemed to be positive for Nico Carter, aiding with weight loss and maintaining a slim figure. However, this soon turned problematic. He later revealed in a podcast that veganism brought immediate health issues.
No. And also, I don't think skinny always means healthy. I actually, honestly, Trisha, everyone sees my old videos when I was skinny, and they think I was just this beacon of health. I rotted a tooth. I had low B12 deficiency. My drive was terrible.
Really? I wondered that. Okay.
Terrible. Wow. I developed hypoglycemia. I don't know if it's directly related to the veganism, but I never had that.
Nico Carter also found the 2016 online vegan community to be extremely toxic, leading him to abandon veganism and the vegan YouTube community. After a month's break, Nico Carter introduced non-vegan mukbang videos onto his channel. Despite initially incorporating meat, his diet remained relatively healthy, often featuring vegetables and rice.
So that is a lot of food. What do you need all that food for? Jesus Christ, that's a lot of food.
Despite being new to the genre, Nikocado would find relative success with his first upload, stating,
That looks like a lot of
Try
food.
it out. I thought she was crazy. Who on earth is going to watch me eat food? Sure enough, my very first mukbang got like 50,000 views in a couple of weeks, which was a lot for me at the time, and everybody was asking, when's the next mukbang? The initial success would turn the one-off video into the main theme of his channel, and with the main theme of his channel being mass food consumption, aka mukbanging, his rate would also begin to increase. In Sunny V2's video covering Nikokado's transformation, he mentioned a case study which revealed a dark psychology behind the seemingly innocent content.
In The Psychology of Mukbang Watching, published in
I got a
January
bag.
2020, the study found that the viewer's vicarious pleasure demanded a large quantity of unhealthy food to be consumed. The authors also claim that mukbang videos affect viewers' perception of food consumption and thinness because mukbangers who are very thin and slim consumed very large portions of food and did not gain weight, which is without a doubt the spell that Nikocado Avocado had found himself under.
With that knowledge in mind, it wouldn't be a surprise that Nikocado would begin to introduce not only more food into his mukbangs, but also replace the previously healthy food with fried and processed junk, with each video progressively getting more and more unhealthy.
School life as a kid, it was sad, it was lonely, it was fun. I played violin. I didn't have many friends. I had good friends and I lost them. I got new friends because their clique changed. I wasn't cool enough, or I changed my friends because
it seems like the more weight Nikocado gained, the more emotionally unstable he would become, with his videos going from lighthearted to distressing.
Why are you eating so many eggs and ramen?
Things would take a
Disgusting.
negative turn on the 18th of December 2019, when Nikocado would upload a collaboration video with popular mukbang YouTubers Zach Choi and Stephanie Su.
Gross.
Whilst there was nothing alarming about the video itself, it would be the video that Stephanie posted 4 days later that would change the public perception for Nikocado. In the video titled Why I'm Scared of Nikocado Avocado, Stephanie Su would share a negative experience working with him and being around Nikocado, with one of the first points she brought up being his alleged manipulation.
The past couple of days have been filled with just a lot of manipulation, in particular manipulating my own words against me to make me do things that I don't want to do and I don't feel comfortable doing.
She would also go on to claim that Nikocado used his platform to bully and threaten her.
And a lot of Nikocado Avocado using his platform to threaten me and to bully me. At this point, my home safety is kind of in question, so normally I wouldn't talk about stuff like this or make a video on it. I've been pretty vocal that a lot of things can just be solved offline, but because of how extreme things have gotten recently, I just want to share my side.
The video was over 47 minutes long and garnered over 15 million views.
15 million.
With Stephanie stating, "He's a full-on bully. What a disgusting excuse of a person. I'm sorry this happened to you, Stephanie. He's the type of friend who keeps track of every bad thing you did during the friendship with screenshots so he can expose you later. As well as, Nick is so disgusting. The fact that you had to apologize is even more sad. I feel bad for you.
My
You're so
friend and
strong,
fellow
Nick
siege
is
engine
such a
pilot
bully."
Maury Hildelf is lost in the hills. We were looking for a rare ore that's needed for a high-grade blast powder, and during our search he drove his engine up a steep hill and busted it. Still convinced that ore was in these mountains, Hildelf charged me to guard our engines while he continued on foot, searching. It's been days, and I've heard some beastly growls in the hills at night. Maury's tough as nails, but I'm worried. Please, adventurer, find him.
Nikocado was already disliked by most, but it would be this video that would turn the entire mukbang community against him, with his channel's growth taking a complete stop for the following 2 months. Despite all of the negative attention, Nikokado's views didn't go down, they actually increased, which reinforced the idea that any attention is good attention for his channel, as within 3 months he was already seeing significant growth. With the growth of his channel also came the growth of his belly, as he would go from being very fat to very, very fat, which would lead to Nikocado going on Drama Alert to discuss his various weight problems.
You gotta get on a diet, man. If you're picking up a pickle in a sock and spraining your ankle, you gotta lose some weight, buddy.
I mean, there's some problems definitely. I can't see my anymore when I pee. I have to like see what's going on down there. You know, there's a lot of different issues. Sleeping can be a little rough. I have to sleep with this big old machine pump some air into me. You know, so my double chin is literally choking me to death. So I mean, there's some struggles for sure. But I think I should be fine.
It's just gonna keep getting worse, buddy.
His health would continue to further deteriorate, leading to a video titled Return to the Hospital, I'm Scared, where in the video, Nico Carter would address his recent health concerns with his viewers.
Now, probably broken. We have to say this. I'm thinking it's like.
My weight is a medical mystery. Why? Why? Why?
I'm hoping it's just one of those things.
He's like full on Homer Simpson at this point.
I don't know. Ouch! It hurts to burp. Oh my god, my career's gonna come totally down.
By this point, the entire internet was growing concerned for Nico Carter. Despite having a polarizing history on the platform, no one wanted to watch this man eat his way into a coffin in real time. This leads us to where Penguin Zero, who I'll be referring to as Charlie, enters the video. On the 30th of September 2021, Charlie would upload a video titled This YouTuber is slowly killing himself for views, where he would talk about Nico Carter's descent into morbid obesity.
I'm sure you've heard of. I've talked about him before. A lot of people have. He's been a big name on YouTube for a while. His name's Nikado Avocado. If you're on Twitter, you've probably seen him pretty often. For some reason, it was a big trend in meme to just post Nikado Avocado content all over Twitter. So I've seen his role more times than I've seen him doing his mukbangs. For those that don't know, Nikado Avocado is a mukbang YouTuber. It's primarily what he does. Mukbangs are when you just eat on camera. That's about it.
Later in the video,
that's about it.
Nico Carter's recent unusual content.
I have to eat. I haven't eaten in a long time.
This is kind of what his content has become.
I'll be right back.
I wouldn't have become disabled if it weren't for you people who encouraged these videos. This is $6. This is the $10.
Why do you have so many pizzas?
How many months are we gonna have to endure this pain?
Why do you have so many crappy pizzas?
This definitely looks cheesier.
I'm
allergic to this one too. No, but sometimes in life you just want what you can't have. I'm not allowed to have garlic, or lots of onions, or durian.
Now, to anyone that's familiar with this creator, you'll probably think that this is nothing special. This just looks like every other video he's ever made, just with less crying. You've probably even seen Nikado Avocado around other parts of the internet. If you don't even know who he is, you've probably seen some of his clips. He usually will eat something and then just start breaking down into tears and crying about something. He's notorious for constantly crying.
This is where Charlie begins to make his main points on Nico Carter, the first of which being how he blames his audience for his weight gain.
Outside of making some of the most revolting noises I've heard in quite some time while undergoing some kind of exorcism. He said it's your fault for encouraging these videos. Now he says shit like this pretty often, and it shows me that there's still some self-awareness deep within him somewhere, locked deep away. But that rational side of him he keeps buried, locked in a cage, and still does this content.
Following this, Charlie would then explain the origins of Nico Carter and the reason why his transformation is partially his audience's fault.
Nikado Avocado didn't start as this kind of channel. Even 4 years ago, 2017, so 4 years ago now, he was a very healthy person. He seemed to be pretty mentally, sound. He wasn't breaking down on camera all the time.
Sorry guys, be right back.
Crazy from what I remember. He was even extremely good at an instrument. I think it was the violin, if I remember correctly. He was a vegan. He was just preaching some really positive stuff. But then he started to notice that the videos that gained a lot of traction were videos where he was just fucking gluttonous and eating 1,000,000 calories per sitting. So he stuck with it. And now he has a couple of channels where he does this pretty much every day, and it's been like this for the last 4 or so years. This is what he used to look like in 2017, and then when the videos really started to gain traction, he gained over 200 pounds in the last couple of years. And it's absolutely true. It's the audience's fault for this. They created what Nikado Avocado has become. Obviously, it's not all their fault. he is making the conscious decisions to completely throw away his health and well-being, which has now led to his disability, which he claims to have. Again, Nikado Avocado is not the most reliable narrator. He makes a lot of shit up sometimes. So whether or not he actually now has a disability, it's anyone's guess.
Later in the video, Charlie would discuss the various injuries Nikocado claimed to have.
He claims to have 3 broken ribs, which is attributed to his incredible weight gain. Incredible being the wrong word, really just astonishingly upsetting weight gain that he's been putting on recently. He claims that the weight of his body has now broken a few of his ribs, which now has him bedridden. I think he also claimed to now have to have a full-time nurse in order for him to just engage in day-to-day activities. And he also has been diagnosed with sleep apnea, I believe, which is why you'll see on his most recent thumbnails, he has like that machine hooked up to his nose that makes him look like some kind of like cyborg from the future or something.
But next, Charlie would make the main point of the video, that Nikocado Avocado is ultimately deleting himself for YouTube views.
It seems to really be going downhill quickly for him. People have been saying for the last couple of years that Nikado Avocado is literally killing himself for YouTube views, and it's absolutely true. He is slowly killing himself and documenting the journey the entire time while having an understanding of exactly what he's doing. He's well aware that he is throwing away his health, his well-being, his happiness, for the sake of some YouTube views because his audience continues to eat it up.
Towards the end of the video, Charlie would go over Nikokado's sad attempts at losing weight and his disability due to it. For those of you who aren't aware, Charlie has a bachelor's degree in human sciences and physiology, which gives him a level of credibility when discussing health-related topics.
He's also been saying for a little while now that he's going to be losing some weight. His weight loss journey has begun, but what ends up happening is for every pound he loses, he gains 10 more. I didn't play much of the video here, but he even mentioned that. He even goes on to say after the "your fault" speech that he started his weight loss and he lost a pound but then gained 3 more because he wanted to please his audience with more videos or something like that. So it's just truly a pretty awful thing to see.
The final point of Charlie's video highlights how both critics and fans of Nikokado's content inadvertently fuel his tendencies to push the boundaries even further, creating a dangerous cycle of turning his unhealthy
This is grim
behavior
news,
into
for
a source
Hildelf
of
was a good
income.
friend.
The
And I
last
wish
6
I could have
days
been
he's
there
posted
with
a video
you when you
each
found the
day
beast
talking
magic.
about his
Thank you,
disability and his
adventurer.
new diet.
Your
Within
deed will be
each
remembered
one,
by the
he
pilots
has
of the
tons
Iron
and
Forge
tons of
Siege
food from
Brigade.
different places, and it's not clickbait. He really eats all of that food.
Watch
Very
your
rarely
neck.
does he not finish his plate. He usually finishes it or gets very close to it. Almost nothing goes to waste. It goes right into Nikado Avocado's guts. And one thing you may have also noticed from that screenshot is his views are high, which is exactly why he does it. Yeah, most of them have more dislikes than likes, but even on the one I showed you, that's still like 4,000 likes. So there are 4,000 people dropping a fat like, leaving an encouraging comment, and he's usually peddling some merch. So the shirts you see him wear, he immediately pins in a comment for you to buy them, and I imagine he sells quite a few shirts. Even the people that get in there just to dislike or just tune in to watch the train wreck, that's more views for him, that's more engagement, that helps him, and that keeps him on this wagon, keeps him going.
The video would go on to gain over 16 million views, and spoke the words that many of the YouTube community was silently thinking. But unlike your typical expose or generic commentary video, Charlie's dissection of Nikocado Avocado had a sombering tone, one that felt like he was genuinely concerned for Nikokado's well-being and future, and the comments would reflect this. I feel so bad for Nick, he probably thinks he won't die. This is insane. I've seen his clips here and there. Didn't realize just how unhealthy it'd become over the last couple of years. Since I haven't really followed it, I don't see this stopping before it's too late. Very sad. As well as, every single second I see of him makes me feel terrible. Hope he gets the help he desperately needs. Despite the overwhelming amount of comments wishing the best for Nikocado, he would ultimately view the video as a direct attack, leading to a defensive response video the same day, titled, "My response to Penguin Zero's video about me, disabled mukbang." The video would start with Nikocado claiming that Charlie said he didn't have the right to exist due to his weight.
This person thought it would be cute
Uh-oh.
to sit down on the computer and talk about my weight and my appearances and to fixate on how I look as if I don't have the right to exist because I happen to be a little overweight, because I happen to have a little water weight, because I happen to be a little fluffy. This is an unfluffy person. Unfluffy!
Following this, Nikocado would share how despite looking healthier and skinnier in his older photos, he was actually extremely unhealthy.
He said something about me being vegan. Oh, look, he was so skinny, and he showed photos of me when I had just rotted a tooth out of my face, had to get surgery, had such low iron levels that I was anemic, that I had low libido, that I had brain issues.
Nico Carter then highlighted how Charlie, at no point in this video, requested his audience to refrain from harassing him about his appearance or weight.
Hey, by the way, we're only in this video for like a couple of minutes. He didn't ask his millions of followers, don't promote him, don't make fun of his appearance, don't make his mental health upset, send him some support for nothing.
Nico Carter would then make the claim.
Are you
that
having a
Charlie
breakfast of Wendy's in your bed?
What's on your mind? Aha! So Grimman finally finished my axe. I can't wait to try it against some trogs and kobolds. Many thanks, adventurer. It was a long distance to travel for this delivery. Here are some coins for your efforts. The Silver Stream mine to the east ran dry long ago. It was converted by the Miners' League into a storage depot. But now kobolds have moved in, putting their filthy paws on good dwarven tools. We'll root out those vermin soon enough, but the League wants someone to get their gear out of the mine before we warriors tromp in there and break things. It'll be a tough delve. You might want cohorts at your side. The gear is stored in Miners' League crates throughout the mine. Good luck. There is a dwarven armorsmith whose work I admire greatly. His name is Furin Longbeard, and his skill is unmatched. I need a new shield, and I must have one of his. The problem is, Furin is far to the south in the dwarven district within Stormwind, in human lands. I can't imagine why he would live there so far from Ironforge. The humans must pay him a king's ransom to keep him there. So if you want to travel and don't mind making some money, then will you send Furin my request for a shield?
Westfall and Stormwind. Oh, I need the flight path here. Yeah, I've got to go get the flight path.
was trying to sensationalize his unfortunate situation for views.
People with the numbers on the screen, bigger number, better person. Everyone's so desperate to squeeze as much milk as possible from those beautiful...
Oh, let's look at his thumbnail, shall we? Let's see what he's trying to achieve with my